What's going on, everybody? GemMint here, back with another Omnibus haul. It's kind of a small haul, but it's really 4 bangers. We got the Lobo Compendium, Volume 1. We got the Batman and Robin Adventures Omnibus, which is the follow-up to the Batman Adventures Omnibus, the animated series comic book adaptations. We've got Amazing Spider-Man by David Michiline and Mark Bagley, Volume 1. I can't talk enough about that. And then we have an Absolute Edition, Batman and Son. This is the original Grant Morrison Batman stuff, the first appearance and first story of Damien Wayne. These are all courtesy of organicpricebooks.com, so don't even ask me, where can you pick any of these up? It's organicpricebooks.com. They have pre-order options, they have in-stock books, heavily discounted, super fast shipping, and well-packed. Plus, you can save $2 every time you use my code GemMint at checkout, so use that code. And if you're overseas, I got you covered as well. You can check out comicsbugle.com. They have free shipping, no tax or import fees if you're in the EU. They also have pre-order items, and you don't have to pay for the book until it's actually ready to ship. They have packaging made by recyclable material, super fast shipping as well. You can also use code GemMint over there to save $2 as well. So if you're overseas, check out comicsbugle.com while we check out the first volume for the Lobo Compendium. All right, so I'd be lying if I said I didn't wish this was an omnibus. I had always wanted to get into this run by Lobo, and this compendium, which is a softcover book, collects his first appearance and all of his subsequent first appearances, which is covered here in the back. So not only does it have Omega Men 3, which I actually read and reviewed on Comic Tom's channel like last year or so, and it's funny because Lobo's known for breaking the fourth wall. I mean, he's essentially like early 90s Beavis and Butthead, Deadpool, that kind of like slapstick fourth wall breaking. So he even says it covers his first appearance in Omega Men 3. Ignore the hair and the outfit. It definitely was not this iteration of Lobo. But it collects his first miniseries, 4 issues. His first, I guess you can call it ongoing series, which is issues 0 through 9. His first 2 annuals. Then it's got a bunch of one-shots and things of that nature. It's similar to like when Venom first came out. So it's also like in that vein. Like you had all of these obscure appearances of this fan-favorite character. And by the way, it's in chronological order, which we'll see in the table of contents. Not the way that they display it here, but you get the Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special, Lobo's Back 1 through 4, Blazing Chain of Love 1-shot, Infanticide 1 through 4, Portrait of a Victim, Un-American Gladiators 1 through 4. You get Lobo Convention Special, Lobo A Contract on God 1 through 4, Lobo the Chair, Green Lantern Corps Quarterly, and Superman Man of Steel 30. It has the Demon 11 through 15, which I believe is the first time you see him since his first appearance. We'll see as we flip through. And then you get his Who's Who, which is like the DC Universe guide. So his biography and all that from there. And then you get the parody Lobo Cop issue number 1. So $60 is the retail price on this. The contents are great, man. So you have Keith Giffen, rest in peace, Alan Grant, Simon Bisley, or is it Bisley, Val Samirks. Always loved the Bisley artwork. So here we go. Big Frag and Compendium, issue 1, Lobo with Santa Claus. So, yeah, here goes the table of contents. So what does it give us first? Omega Men 3. Okay, so then you get Lobo, the miniseries first, and then his appearances in the Etrigan the Demon run. Then you get like the Paramilitary Christmas Special, then Lobo's Back. Then you get the Blazing Chain of Love. So I don't know why they went out of order, the way they described it on the back or whatever, but you get the table of contents with page numbers, although like most DC collected editions, you don't even get the page numbers on the bottom, so what's the point unless you're going to count them manually. I like how the cover takes up the entire page. I mean, this is not oversized like an omnibus. This is like your traditional comic book trim, but opens up with his first appearance because why not? I vaguely remember reading this, like I said, last year. But yeah, this is Lobo with the crazy hair, crazy outfit. And it wouldn't be until we get his solo series, that we get the iteration that is basically has been around since this day. So artwork is great, and then the writing is interesting. I mean, if you guys know Lobo, he's got like this I don't give a shit attitude. He's like a rebel, rock star type of character, breaking the fourth wall. So it's a fun read, and it has great artwork, and the era is like, bro, this is the era that I grew up in, man. You're talking early 90s stuff. You get space dolphins, you get his space bike. The cover for the demon, or the covers are great as well, too, man. I love that painted style. You guys who watch this channel know I'm a sucker for comic book painters. Here goes the demon issue 13. So to me, this is really like a reader's copy. I feel like it's going to get some wear and tear as you read it. I mean, being soft cover and everything, I don't know. I'm just a hardcover collector. But I do think it's worth it for the read until we get some kind of hardcover. I don't know why they wouldn't just come out with an omnibus for this stuff. The material is great, and we may be getting Lobo in the James Gunn universe. It seems highly implied that Jason Momoa will be playing the character. So why else would DC come out with this at this time anyway, you know? Maybe they're kind of setting the stage and we'll get an omnibus closer to some of that news. Lobo Cop. It's pretty cool, man. So yeah, everything is breaking the fourth wall. Think like DC's version of Deadpool, even though it's kind of like a Deathstroke ripoff. But awesome to have. My only complaint is it's not an omnibus, but packed full of material. I would love to sit down and give this thing a read one of these days. Love me some Lobo, but I love me some Batman, the animated series. The first omnibus was amazing. Here's the follow-up. It's the Batman and Robin Adventures Omni. All right, and just like how the Batman and Robin Adventures was a follow-up to the Batman animated series, same with the omnibus. So I figured we'd break both of these out to do a side-by-side comparison. And man, these things just complement each other so well. I loved reading the Batman Adventures Omnibus. I read this thing cover to cover. Such a great tribute to the show. New original stories, not just recreating episodes. And this one is no exception. Retails $100. Collects the Batman and Robin Adventures 1 through 25, the first or the two annuals. Then it has the Lost Years issues 1 through 5. And it has Batman and Robin Adventures Sub-Zero, which was just like this one. This had the Mask of the Phantasm. This has the Sub-Zero movie comic version that has never been reprinted prior to this Omni. Here's just a quick look at both hardcovers. I want to say this is an homage to an old school Batman Detective Comics cover or so. So the first one's wraparound. The second volume, or the Batman and Robin Adventures, is not a wraparound, but you still have great artwork in the same vein of the Batman animated series. This one is a little bit thinner than that book, but I feel like it's a follow-up, a companion, if you will. Here's a table of contents. You get an introduction here. First off, who done it? Ty Templeton. And then you get a foreword by Scott Peterson. So here is the issue 1, which is the same image we have on the hardcover itself. And it looks just like the Batman Adventures comics. I mean, it's in the same style of the show. The original comics didn't really get this flow down right away. I think it took the first 6 issues or so to realize, you know what? We could do a lot of the storytelling with just the artwork. Give us big panels. It doesn't have to be overly wordy with the dialogue. And it really just flows so well, making it for a quick read. But the characters that you know and love from the show. Got Joker here. Here's issue 6. So this one I have not dived into yet. Would love to sit down and give this one a read like I did with the first volume. But you're getting more of the same here. Fast, action-packed, fast-paced storytelling here with all the characters that you know and love from the show. Got Harley Quinn. Got Gordon, Batgirl. Again, you notice, so they figured out right away. Less panels is more. So there we go. You get the whole series. Here's the Sub-Zero. Never before reprinted. I like how it ends off with Nightwing, too. That's cool. So there you go. What a great follow-up to an amazing omnibus. Definitely keepers in my book. And it looks like there is some bonus material here as well. Character models and sheets from the Sub-Zero movie. Look at this, man. Like, what is this? The backgrounds they use? So just a couple of bonuses, and that's it. We've got some San Diego Comic-Con announcements here. JPG, the founder of That Spider-Man Booth and co-creator of one of the best-selling independent comic books, Ninja Funk, is launching his new publishing company called Paras Entertainment. They have 3 launch titles, including Dream Killers by JPG and Alex Regal, Butterfly Effect by David Mack, and Anime Annie May by Rob Cannon. You could grab these at San Diego Comic-Con. They're going to be at booth 802 and HH07 or on That Spider-Man Booth Whatnot stream. Make sure to check it out. All right, guys. Now we're into my era of comic books. This is my Spider-Man. We have ASM by David Michiline, Mark Bagley, Volume 1. Can't wait to get into this. Always a good day for me when we get a new Spider-Man omnibus in here. So you got to love the Mark Bagley and John Romita cover here. You got all of the Spider-Man villains that I grew up with, that I love. And again, one of my favorite depictions of Spider-Man. David Michiline, Mark Bagley, Volume 1. Here's what it collects. You have the Amazing Spider-Man 351 through 375. So what does that give us? First appearance of Carnage in that first 3-issue trilogy. You get the 30th anniversary, issue 365. You get the Venom battle and the return of Spider-Man's parents. And then issue 375, which is the kind of prelude to Venom, the Lethal Protector. But it starts off with some David Michiline stuff that does not have Mark Bagley, and it's the annual stuff. You have Spectacular Spider-Man Annual 11 and 12, Web of Spider-Man Annual 7 and 8, ASM Annual 25 and 26, and New Warriors Annual 2. So back in the day, Marvel used to tell these story arcs over annuals. That was like a thing for a while. Retailing $125. Inside of the dust jacket, just basically telling us where we're at with this run. Biography on the creative team, which includes Al Milgrom. Love the image on the hardcover itself. It's a wraparound cover, but nothing really on the back, just a black background with the webs. But tell me, this is not like the best looking Spider-Man that you've ever seen. I might be a little bit biased, but black cover pages. You got the all red interior cover page, all of the credits, which is not Mark Bagley artwork. So yeah, it's kind of like a little bit misleading. I don't know why they called it the ASM by David Michiline and Mark Bagley, because it doesn't open up with him as the artist. Here's the table of contents, and then here's the annual stuff. The Vibranium Vendetta. So who do you got? Guang Yap is the penciler on this issue. I guess they're just setting this up as a, well, it's volume 1, right? So they're setting it up for more. They're starting off with David Michiline, a different artist. Look at this Venom. I still dig it, though. I mean, this is the era that I grew up in. I'm not even mad at it. Here we go, continuing with the annual. So that's how it opens up until we get to ASM 351 with the Tri-Sentinel, and it's when Mark Bagley first jumps on. So I'm a big fan of Todd McFarlane. He reimagined what Spider-Man could be and what he looks like, but I feel like Mark Bagley really refined it. Eric Larson did a great job, too, and kind of continued in that style. But I always felt like McFarlane was super innovative, but his proportions were a little off, and it wasn't as a clean of a look. Bagley totally refined that look and made Spider-Man super clean. I love the proportions, the line work, everything about Bagley I'm just a huge fan of. Then you have this Nova team up. The art in this, man, is just incredible. And then it gets into the Carnage stuff, which obviously has been reprinted many times before in other Omnis. But again, they're just setting this up as this, creator-centric volume, or series of volumes, I should say. He goes ASM 355. You got the New Warriors team up, the Punisher. Love the covers. I mean, this is the stuff that was on the stands when I was a kid. More Punisher and Nova stuff. Goes MJ, kind of in that same style as how McFarlane had her. ASM 358 was one of those gatefold posters, which I'm a huge fan of. And that's like one of my favorite Spidey Venom Carnage images is the Bagley gatefold poster, which we'll see in the back. Then you have 359, first appearance of Cardiac, the doctor turned vigilante, who I always felt like didn't get enough love. And then in 360, you get the first cameo appearance of Carnage, which I feel like doesn't really get talked about enough. It's kind of like a silhouette, but it's definitely a Carnage cameo. Leading into his first appearance. And then we get some of the best Venom stuff, in my opinion. Like, I'm a huge fan of Maximum Carnage. Man, the Bagley art is my shit, man. So Spider-Man and Venom have to team up to take down Carnage. It leads into Maximum Carnage. And like I said, it also leads into Lethal Protector. Spider-Man and Venom agree to, you don't go for me and I won't go for you kind of thing, a truce, if you will, which ends up taking Venom to California to be the Lethal Protector over there. But I was always a huge fan of the symbiote blasting, sonic beams and all that stuff. So here's another annual. This time it is with Mark Bagley, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not. It's David Michiline still. But more Venom, Eddie Brock stuff. Then back to ASM with 364. And then, of course, everybody's favorite, 365. So technically this was always called the first appearance of Spider-Man 2099, but it really was just a 5-page preview of issue 1, which has seemed to be now accepted as the true first appearance of Miguel O'Hara. But this was the 30th anniversary hologram cover. There were 4 of them, one for each of the titles, Web of Spider-Man, Spectacular, and I guess the adjective list. And remind me, so at the end, they show you the process on holograms. I got a lot to say about holograms. I had this as a kid, like most of us did, and have read it front to back a million times. It's really what made me fall in love with Spider-Man. The artwork is just so beautiful, man. Just made me such a fan of Bagley. Again, this is McFarlane's Spider-Man, but it's just done in such a clean and crisp manner. Then you get Spider-Man's parents come back. This stuff is not Bagley because the issue was oversized and had a few different stories. 366, classic cover. Got Black Hat and Scorpion. Yeah, they just busted out all of the fan favorite villains to give Bagley a crack at him. Great new tale with Venom. Awesome cover. And this is going to lead into, remember Smythe? This is going to lead into the issue with Peter Parker's parents and one of the best Spider-Man and Venom sequences ever. Eddie lifting weights with the symbiote arms. He's got Peter's parents. Iconic imagery here of Venom. So many great depictions of Venom in this Omni. Here goes another one. Man, I was a huge fan of Bagley's Venom too. I think they called it the Barracuda Teeth Venom. But man, such a dope battle, Spidey versus Venom, which continues into the next issue. That's the issue where they end up making the truce. With the gold the gold foil cover, which I'm a huge fan of all those as well. This was another one that I had and read front to back a million times. Just such a fan of this depiction of Spider-Man and Venom. Another crazy battle. Another iconic piece of Venom here. And this is where they decide to make the truce. Look at those teeth, man. So then there's a couple more stories. That was another like oversized issue. Like I said, leading into Lethal Protector. Then the Marvel Age stuff, talking about the 30 years of Spider-Man. The making of holograms. The big question I have for all the publishers is, why are we not doing holograms anymore? Even with the card companies, everyone I ask, I can never get a straight answer. I've asked Upper Deck. I've asked Nick Barucci from Dynamite. And I just never get a straight answer. They started doing foils again, but no holograms. So apparently they have to construct these little like statues Look at this. To make the hologram using some kind of laser process. I didn't even realize it was that in depth. But I guess you have multiple layers, which makes sense. They have like this 3D image in the middle. So they had, yeah, because they made 4 different covers. I guess it's just a very time-consuming and maybe even expensive process. But man, they're doing all these crazy things with Marvel trading cards these days. Can we get some holograms again? Oh, look at the box art for the Spidey figures. That's dope, man. Some great bonus material here. Well, I guess it's from the Marvel age. Then they include Todd McFarlane's Wizard 1 cover. This was an unused Mark Bagley cover for ASM 361. So for the first appearance of Carnage, or first full appearance, I should say, he made a couple of covers. And this was later reused as a variant, which is super cool. I do like when they do that. They even did that with like Amazing Fantasy 15, the original Ditko cover. Overstreet Guide, Marvel Superheroes 8 pinup. Man, you can't tell me nothing about 90s Spider-Man artwork, man. Love this image here. Sal Buscema. I used to always say Sal Buscema, and I was corrected by an old school Marvel creator in the comments one day. Love this image too. So this was the Spider-Man Carnage trade paperback. They also had one with the same image with a different headdress too. Or trade dress, I should say. Yo, look at this painted Spider-Man. They don't say who the artist is here, I don't think. I guess, was it Steve Little or Lytle? Look at, yo, so that's like Bagley proportions, but in a painted manner. I love that, man. Look how, man, how clean that looks. Beautiful art there. Gushing over this book, y'all. Original cover for ASM 352. Look, here's the mock-up for 365 without the hologram. So it's Bagley and John Romita Sr. So crazy. Some of the best Venom art you're going to get in here. Yo, I love these too. So when I was collecting keys, this is like 2014. Anyone watching this that used to follow me on IG or whatever, or still do, I was getting all these in 9.8. Like I had the first printings in 9.8, but the second print in 9.8 like was super scarce. Like nobody really had those slabbed. So love it. It has like a silver background instead of, I think this was yellow and white originally. Then you have a recolored version of it that they use for a trade paperback. And then here's the gatefold poster I was talking about in the beginning. They used it as a hidden gem variant. Look at that, no pun intended. For Venom 25. I still have the original gatefold poster. Hold on, I'm going to show you right now. So this is actually from the Amazing Spider-Man 365 comic book. I've had this for a long time. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man image of all time. Look how Spider-Man looks super clean. Carnage, Venom, they look awesome. And they had 4 posters, like I mentioned, from all 4 of the 30th anniversary issues. So here's another one that they had. I think this is my least favorite one. The art's great, though. Silver Surfer, Spider-Man, and Cap. This is Ron Lim. You know, Ron Lim Surfer. Come on. I like it, but I didn't like how it was vertical. Then this is also a fan favorite of mine, man. Rick Leonardi, Spider-Man and Spidey 2099. Love this image so much. And then the last one in a painted style. Spider-Man, Black Suit Symbiote versus Hobgoblin. All right, show and tell is over. That's Spider-Man by Michiline and Bagley, Volume 1. All right, guys, and last up on the haul, we've got an absolute edition. This one is the Grant Morrison Batman and Son, the Damian Wayne stuff. I was never a big fan of the Omnis, but we'll talk about this one right now. All right, guys, so front of the slipcase, beautiful artwork by Andy Kubert, Batman with all the bats flying around him. In the Batcave, here we have the spine, and then here's the back, also by Andy Kubert, Damian Wayne, Bruce Wayne, father and son, the one true Robin. $150 on the cover price here. Damien is my favorite Robin, and this is probably the best story that you're going to get from Damian Wayne. All right, before we get into that, more Andy Kubert here. Front and back of the actual hardcover. And let's open up. So here's the cover page with the bats, Absolute, Batman, and Son. So if my memory serves me correctly, before they came out with the Batman by Grant Morrison Omnibus, there were two Absolute editions. You had Absolute Batman and Robin All-Stars, which ended up collecting material that was from, or later published in the Omnibus Volume 2, and Batman Incorporated, which is stuff from the third Omnibus. So this is the original Damian Wayne story and his first arc, and this is what was collected in the first Omnibus. So they went completely backwards in the way that they released these in collected editions. But even though I'm not a fan of the Batman by Grant Morrison, this is the best stuff out of it. I would actually say I am a fan of this story. I just didn't really like where it went. Here's the table of contents, collecting Batman 655 through essentially 666, followed by an introduction here by Andy Kubert. And then here we go, same image from the slipcase. So the artwork is amazing. The Absolute Edition, once again, doing it justice, Batman and Joker. And like I said, you have Damian Wayne, the true son of Bruce Wayne. His mother is Talia al Ghul. He was raised by the League of Assassins and comes to live with his father and gets trained as Robin. Here goes Damien and Bruce being introduced to the Batcave. They have this kind of part 1, part 2, part 3 before each issue. So this stuff is definitely worth reading. I feel like it went off the rails a little bit with Morrison's Batman once Final Crisis hit, and definitely once Batman Incorporated hit. I'm not a fan of Batman Incorporated. This stuff was kind of weird. I remember reading this and reviewing this in the first omnibus. It reads like a novel with this kind of abstract artwork. This was kind of a slog to get through, to be honest, but when you're back to the main event, artwork is great, amazing storytelling, again, establishing a new Robin, and one that is ruthless, man. Damien is the youngest of the Robins, but he's a trained assassin. He's down to kill, and he really questions his father, which makes just for a great dynamic between the two. Pun intended, right? The dynamic duo. Beautiful double-page spread. So if you've heard bad things about Morrison's Batman, people either love it or hate it. If you've heard bad things, this is definitely worth a read. I don't think you could really argue that the first arc was amazing. I think people who don't like it for the same reasons that I don't, where it just goes off the rails. But some people love Morrison's Batman, so how could you go wrong with the, I guess, last Absolute in the set, even though it's technically the first? So after the main issues, you have a cover gallery, again, showcasing oversized artwork, pencils, Andy Kubert, one of the greats from Marvel and DC. So always cool to see the creation process here. Here goes some designs, cover mock-ups. This is the dust jacket for the first omnibus. So yep, there we go. Batman and Son, I would say the strongest part of the Grant Morrison Batman run. All right, guys, and that's the haul. Like I said, not a lot of books, but they packed a punch. I appreciate you guys watching. Big thanks to Organic Price Books. Thanks to Comics Bugle. Thank you to JPG with Peraza Entertainment. I hope everybody has a blast at San Diego Comic-Con. I can't make it, but I will be on Whatnot on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you can, check in on me then. And stay minty fresh. Peace.